Today we're going to take a look at what can get the engine purring. What can make Bitcoin go higher, considering that we have been in a trading range for the past over 100 days. Okay, ever since Trump's election, it has been 107 days that Bitcoin has chopped around between 90 to 108, and it gets boring. And the question is, when's the Bitcoin strategic reserve going to happen? And it might not come immediately. It doesn't feel that way, right? So, what can push Bitcoin out of this trading range and make us go higher? And in reality, I mean, we've been trading between around this 96K range for the past couple weeks, and it's just feels like something's building. But what's going to be that trigger, right? So what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at a few different things. We're going to look at some charts and try to identify what could be the impetus for that big surge that we all expect in this bull run. So to start, let's discuss the timing of the bull run. As I've shared in other videos, I do anticipate that we will peak out in this bull cycle. This is based on historical data from the past ones, right? If we expect a similar cycle to occur, we're looking around October of 2025. Okay, so that gives us it feels boring and like nothing's happening, but remember, we have March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Okay, we have 8 more months for some sort of impetus to push us up and push us up fast. And I'm going to pull up a chart here and take a look at something we've discussed on previous videos. And as a quick recap, okay, and then we'll get into it, is that what we're doing is we're looking at Bitcoin being boring for a period of time, some anticipatory event news, right? Anticipation of spot Bitcoin ETFs jumps up. Then we sit at this consolidation phase for a while, and then all of a sudden we get the actual event occurs, Bitcoin ETF, and it shoots up 67%, 35 days, very quickly, right? We also see, and this is me taking some liberties, but the Trump election is an anticipation of, can't talk, Bitcoin strategic reserve, or better, just regulation of pro-crypto government. And here's the thing, that shot up substantially in 35 days, okay? So what I'm saying is this can be boring for a long period of time. And in a matter of a month, it can skyrocket and then we can be boring again. And that's part of this cycle. And I think we're just in that cycle right now, okay? And I don't know how long it's going to last, but the question that we're going to try and uncover today, what could get it, I'm going to call unstuck. Okay, so if we take a look at this, what I'm proposing is that if we compare the anticipation of the Bitcoin spot Bitcoin ETF to the Trump cycles, you can see that it was larger, right, than the Bitcoin ETF. Now, the actual event is even larger than the predecessor, right? So Bitcoin ETF becoming an ETF was bigger than the news of it becoming one. So if we call Trump's news was bigger than the news of the spot Bitcoin ETF, we can then say there's potential gains of up to 80%, okay? In, let's say, 35 to 45 days when the Bitcoin strategic reserve happens, that gets us to 200K. I've shared, I believe, 265 is kind of where, right now, I'm still sticking with that, is where we're going to peak out this cycle. And so then that would mean that there's one other event that also drives it up. This is crazy, we only need 2 big news events or things that take effect over the next 8 months for this thing to skyrocket, okay? So we're going to have to be patient, and it's going to be boring, but that allows us to stack more sats while they're cheaper. All right, so let's get into it. What are some of the things that we could see, all right? And I'm actually going to put the Bitcoin strategic reserve to the side. Let's say that happens halfway through this year. Let's say it doesn't happen. If the Bitcoin strategic reserve does not go into effect before the end of the year, can we still get above 200K? Let's take a look at this, okay? What we have is potential for major corporate adoption. Okay. Now you see something like GameStop considering I don't know how much they're sitting on a ton of cash. They might institute it just because they're in a similar situation as MicroStrategy, where their company's not doing the best. They have all this cash. Well, why wouldn't they buoy it up with something that is going to perform amazing like Bitcoin? Could happen. I don't think that's going to trigger the game theory of everybody piling in on the FOMO at the corporate level, but all you need is Apple, Amazon, Google, one of the big players to start adding it to their balance sheet, and we could see all of that corporate adoption happen quickly. That could bump us up 20, 30, 40%. Who knows? That's one thing that's on the docket. Sovereign wealth funds, nation states. That's really what the Bitcoin strategic reserve is in the United States. However, think about it this way. There's going to be front running happening, and maybe it's already happening. I don't know. What comes first? Is the chicken or the egg? Is it that there's going to be the U.S. announces the Bitcoin strategic reserve is official, and then it skyrockets, or are there going to be other nation states? I believe they're already front running and buying. Eventually, somebody makes an announcement, which then forces the hands of other people. So it doesn't even need to be Bitcoin. It doesn't even need to be the Bitcoin strategic reserves announced in the United States. It could be a trigger from other nation states doing it and then others announcing it as well. That's an option, right? There's also more options now for banks to custody Bitcoin. Regulations have changed and evolved. Once we see that go more mainstream, I think we've seen some banks start to tip their hand at announcements like that. That could be another trigger that then sends Bitcoin to the moon. Never forget entropy and chaos. Okay? Trump's amazing at creating chaos in the market. This is great at doing that. That chaos creates volatility, and that chaos can lead to higher pumps. And don't forget, something could get messed up. There's always Blackswan events, all right? Quantitative easing, whatever. All of these things are tailwinds just ready to pop. And we don't know when these are going to pop, but we have multiple things that could jump out, right? You've got banking system crises, you've got Black Swan events and global uncertainty. There's a lot of different things. I don't know what's going to make it jump, right? But it's not one or two things. And it feels right now, the vibe is that we're putting so much pressure and energy towards this Bitcoin strategic reserve. The price won't go up until it's announced. It feels that way a little bit. Bitcoin doesn't care. It will go up. There's going to be uncertainty. There's going to be chaos. And there's going to be natural events that will push this higher. And again, just to recap, we only need two big news events, in my opinion, to get us to 200, and then one more news event to get us to 250, 265. That's it. And it might take 3 more months before something like that happens. It might be the midsummer. And then we might have something crazy in Q3, Q4 that pops up. And that's it. We're there. We sit around, we be bored until midsummer. Some news event comes out. We sit around, we be bored, it consolidates. A news event comes out in early Q4. There we go. 265. It's possible because this thing runs so fast and hard when it actually runs. We're just consolidating right now, which is fine. Stack those sats. All right, to recap. Multiple tailwinds helping Bitcoin jump up. Major corporate adoption, sovereign wealth funds, nation state adoption. There's going to be more regulatory updates, which are going to be positive, right? Banking system crisis, a Fed pivot, Black Swan events. I mean, there's so many things. We just need 2 news events. That's it. Be patient. Stack those sats. Take a look at this data right here because we do. This is what it is that we sit here in these feels elongated consolidation phases, and then it shoots up, and then it's gonna plateau out. All right. So, like and subscribe below. Stack those sats. This thing's gonna run. I think we're gonna have two more big pumps, before this peaks out. And be patient. Enjoy the ride. Thank you.